Now, there's another Texas situation that's going on because there's a lot of corruption over there. So, Brandon Herrera says, I have now seen some of the text messages between Tony Gonzales, all right, he's a congressman in Texas, and his late aide, Regina Santos Aviles. All right, so this late aide lit herself on fire and killed herself. It's now clear to me Tony Gonzales is a sexual predator who abused his position and power and wrecked the family. I also know this is not the only case. He must resign. In fact, a lot of people are calling for this retard to resign. Also, Tony Gonzales is in the Epstein files listed as a Democrat. Could you believe this? Tony Gonzales, Democrat, Texas. Could you believe that? The Epstein considered him a Democrat? So again, you have to understand, Tony Gonzales is a Texas quote-unquote Republican that was constantly pushing for extra enforcement and crackdown on gun laws. He is literally a subversive agent. He is literally a subversive agent that is put into power by the retards at B to make believe he's a Republican. He's voting against gun laws and gun rights. He's trying to crack down on all that shit. And it's insane. It's insane that this keeps happening. Tony Gonzales refuses to resign after text messages appear to show him having an affair with a young married female staffer who eventually set herself on fire after her husband found out and it was all exposed.
Are those?
No.
Not. What do you? Are those text messages correct? Are they accurate?
I am not going to resign. I work every day. I work every day for the people of Texas.
But are those text messages? Are they accurate? Are those real text messages?
I am not going to resign. I'm not going to resign. I work every day for the people of Texas.
Sounds like an admission to me.
Did you carry it?
And there will be an opportunity for all the details and facts to come out. What you've seen is not all the facts.
Did you have an extramarital affair with a staffer?
What you've seen is not all the facts, and there'll be an ample time for all of that to come out.
What are the facts? Tell it. Can you
So what are
address
the
it right
facts?
now? Your constituents want to know.
My constituents are not here in D.C. My constituents are back home in Texas.
What do you make of some of your colleagues?
What do you plan to tell the speaker?
No.
Weird.
Are those text messages
So
correct?
apparently he's not planning on leaving or anything. So that's pretty interesting. But I feel like it's really important for me to read you a chapter of the Bible. I know that, thank God, Texas has a very strong Christian community. So I'm just going to read you a verse in the Bible that I like very much. I think it's a very good verse to... Because I think that the Bible grounds you a lot. You know, it grounds you to understand what is moral, what isn't moral, what level of seriousness should we take specific instances, right? Is stealing on the same level of immorality as killing? Well, you know, murder is punishable by death, whereas stealing is only punishable by paying back what you stole. Double, in fact. So, obviously, it's more immoral to murder than to steal. Where exactly would the Bible place this level of morality? So, Leviticus 20:10 states, if a man commits adultery with another man's wife, both the adulterer and the adulteress are to be put to death. Quite literally, why the actual fuck is this guy still in office? Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, this is unbelievable. You know, thank God we still have a country that believes in God. How can we possibly leave this guy in office after something like this? How? It's unbelievable. So Tony Gonzales responds on Twitter, I will not be blackmailed. Disgusting to see people profit politically and financially off a tragic death. The public should immediately have full access to the police report. I will keep fighting for Texas. The community note. Tony Gonzales cheated on his wife and 6 kids with his congressional staffer, Regina Aviles, who was married with an 8-year-old and lied about it. Regina's husband confirmed as such, and text from other staffers on Gonzales proves this. Unbelievable, dude. Oh my God, community note, he cheated on his family with a woman who was married and then she killed herself. And this dude expects us to support him? Get out of here. Unbelievable. So Brandon Herrera is a YouTuber that actually is running for this slot in Texas. All right, now he is running as the political opponent of this Tony Gonzales figure, and I endorse him. Vote for Brandon Herrera, okay? I fully 100% endorse this handsome man that likes guns and likes God, all right? Not even a question. AK Daddy needs the slot. All right, let's see his video covering this, because obviously he's more invested in this than any of us.
This is not a video I ever expected to make.
All right. Well, it's not a video I expected.
And I
All right, a strong Christian community. The person that represents them is an adulterer.
Take no joy in making it. My plan this cycle has been to continue to tell the truth about Congressman Tony Gonzales and his voting record, how he continues to vote against the Constitution during his time in office.
What a coincidence that he was listed as a Democrat in the Epstein files.
However, in the last few days, the case that I'm about to discuss has become the subject of national debate. And so I feel like I have an obligation to provide the most accurate details possible. I would have never expected in a million years to have to tell the story that I'm about to tell, nor would I ever consider it appropriate if this were mere conjecture. But at this point, these are no longer allegations. This has now been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt to be true, and the truth must be told. The voters have a right to know. And that is why, for the sake of the district, the party, and the country, Tony Gonzales should step down.
Oh boy.
I'll start from the beginning. Regina Santos Aviles was a regional director for Texas 23rd Congressional District, Congressman Tony Gonzales. She was originally from Uvalde and had served prior running the Uvalde Chamber of Commerce. From everyone that I've spoken to and from every account that I've been able to find, she was beloved by the community and took great pride in her work. She joined Tony's staff in November of 2021 and dedicated the rest of her life to serving the district, including her hometown of Uvalde, with various issues that the district was facing. But on September 13th, 2025, first responders were called to her home after an alleged suicide via self-immolation, where she was declared dead the next day from her injuries.
Unbelievable.
She left behind her husband.
Dude, who commits suicide by lighting themselves on fire? Like, yeah, that is not a common suicide, especially for women. All right, like men are normally graphic and shit, but women's suicides are almost always drugs. Like this is unbelievable.
And
in fact, it's quite literally not. I don't believe it. In fact,
an 8-year-old son. Several days after the fact, when asked, Tony said that he was, quote, heart-stricken at the news of her passing.
Sure.
He did not attend the funeral.
Oh my God.
Immediately after, a multitude of media sources, such as Current Revolt, asked a number of questions, including whether or not Tony and Regina were involved in a romantic relationship. Tony Gonzales' office responded to every inquiry except the latter.
Oh, shit.
All records were then sealed by Uvalde PD, from the police reports to the autopsy to any mention of Regina and Tony. This fed speculation, and multiple publications started reporting on the alleged affair between Tony and Regina. This would be a bombshell, as Tony is a married man with 6 children and often uses his appearance as a family man for his public image.
Oh, what a nightmare, bro.
It would also be completely against house ethics rules, subject to an investigation and penalties. Tony, of course, avoided any public scrutiny.
Like, this dude, not only is he ruining Texas and ruining his district, and obviously it's a shame, and it brings shame to, like, the entire community that voted for him and stuff, but, like, he ruined his family's life. He really did. And he ruined this other family's life. And he possibly, likely, is the cause of her death. Either because, she was killed through foul play, or because she killed herself out of shame. But this is unbelievable.
Including running away from multiple reporters.
Multiple media outlets have reported that you had an affair with Regina Santos Aviles. Is there any response you have to that?
We're here at Fort Sam. We're at Fort Sam unit at the ceremony. Please.
He was on CNN and called other Republicans Nazis? No shot. Actually, holy fuck, he really is a Democrat.
Have some respect.
I understand, but veterans fought for my right to ask you questions.
Hey, how are you doing?
He also canceled all media appearances and banned journalists and reporters from any of his future events. All of this came to a head a few months later, where for the first time, after no hard evidence had come out, Tony officially denied the affair.
The rumors are completely untruthful. I also say, I don't know exactly what happened.
Which, as we will soon find out, was a complete bold-faced lie.
Oh boy.
But at this point, with no concrete evidence and an official denial of the affair, the story more or less died for a couple of months. That was at least until early February, where a former Tony staffer from Uvalde who worked hand in hand with Regina for 2 years for the congressman decided to risk potential repercussions and come forward. Not only did he have his personal account of Regina telling about the affair with...
Wait, what? Someone just sent this to me. This is actually true?
Bob Good endorsed my opponent, a known neo-Nazi. These people used to
He's calling him a neo-Nazi. Oh my God.
walk around with white hoods at night. Now they're walking around with white hoods in the daytime.
No, dude, those are the Democrats.
Tony, but he also brought forward screenshots of Regina admitting to the affair. specifically texting the staffer, and I quote, "I had an affair with our boss," obviously referencing Tony. He even told about the facilitation of his family cabin for Tony, which he only later found out was used for extramarital activities. After this news started to break, Tony continued to double down and deny any wrongdoing, despite for the first time, material evidence is starting to come forward. Now, at this point in the story is where, unfortunately, I get involved. In Tony's denial, he blamed me for his actions, saying it was my fault that a, quote, disgruntled former staffer was given a voice and that he wouldn't engage in personal smears.
Insane,
which is rich, considering the same person who is now condemning personal smears ran an entire campaign last cycle personally smearing me.
Oh!
Bob Good
I should have just waited.
endorsed my opponent, a known neo-Nazi. These people used to walk around with white hoods at night. Now they're walking around with white hoods in the daytime.
But what I find most interesting is that now faced with proof, he condemns me and the staffer who came forward with evidence while refusing to deny the claims that have been made. And now, the bombshell.
I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, this is a married man sleeping with a married woman. Fuck this guy. He deserves nothing. He deserves absolutely nothing.
In the last week, Regina's husband has stepped forward. Not only was he personally willing to confirm the affair, but he went on to go and tell his side of the story that he was keeping private out of concerns for his son. Which is completely understandable, but now with the evidence that is coming forward from former staffers, he stepped forward to set the record straight. He also came forward with text messages from Regina's phone, confirmed by forensic software, showing that not only was Tony involved in a sexual relationship with Regina, but that he pressured her into it from a position of power. With her even mentioning several times that he was going too far, and even at one point asking if he was sober. These are only a handful of texts that have been put forward of what I'm told are thousands of texts.
This is shocking, dude.
Between Regina and Tony. Keep in mind, this is a married congressman with 6 children talking to a married female subordinate. From Tony to Regina. Then send me a sexy pic.
Oh my God.
Regina
dude.
says, I swear my life has been a telenovela for the past 7 days. You really don't want a hot picture of me. Tony says, yes, I do. Hurry. She asks, is this a test? Later she says, no, I just don't like taking pictures of myself, to which he replies, I'm just such a visual person. He then goes on to ask her favorite position.
This dude's a congressman?
She asks,
a congressman that suspiciously votes against the Republicans every time?
Yours first, and then goes on to ask, so is this why you're quiet around me sometimes, because you think I'm hot? He responds to this by saying, on top, pinning your legs. To which she then pumps the brakes and says, this is going too far, boss. So how long have you thought I was this hot? He says, what do you like? And then answers, since you worked at the Chamber of Commerce in Uvalde. And then following up on that, reminder, this is a married congressman to a married subordinate.
This is
he
a
asks,
nightmare, dude.
Anal?
Oh my God, dude.
He replies, never. The texts then from this point lead to that.
Anal? Anal? Bro, they gotta write that shit on his tombstone. Just anal with a question mark. Right, here lies Tony Gonzales. Anal? I feel like that you gotta put that there on the tombstone. That needs to last forever.
Them arranging to meet up at the cabin.
Stop raping, sir.
That then gets picked up by the story that the other former staffer had told, where he unwittingly set up an extramarital affair between his boss and his friend.
Tony Gonzales, bro, get them out. By the way, I've been getting canceled recently, actually, because I actually support the death penalty for adultery. Okay, maybe support is a strong word, but like I'm so done with this shit, dude. We can't live like this. This is insane. There are demons among us.
These texts and the confirmation of a long-denied affair have sparked national outcry. Local state rep Wes Verdell has called for Tony to step down, while members of Congress have either asked for him to suspend his campaign or even outright resignation.
I'm so happy everyone's calling him out for this. Bro needs to go.
And over the last few days, their complaints have made nationwide news, including reaching the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
Mr. Speaker, why should Tony Gonzales resign, given these very serious accusations?
There are serious accusations, and it must be taken seriously, and I've told him he's got to address that with his constituents.
It has also come out that the House Ethics Committee has launched its own investigation. At this point, we know beyond a shadow of a
Insane,
doubt that Tony Gonzales is guilty of an extramarital affair and lying to his
That's enough, by the way. All right, forget the whole, alleged suicide.
family, the press, and the people. Of abusing a position as a member of Congress for sexual misconduct and wrecking a home to the degree that a young woman is now dead.
Crazy.
Up to this point, my campaign against Tony has been relying solely upon the issues. Problem that I have and his voters have with his voting record. But this goes beyond that now. It is now irrefutable that Tony Gonzales is a wicked man and must be removed.
Agreed.
Now, next week on March 3rd, voters will have the opportunity to have their voices heard. But as we've seen, this goes far beyond politics. While Tony might rightfully lose his job, a husband and son are still grieving a wife and mother. So right now, while I have your attention...
I mean, to be fair, she did cheat on them too. Like, she's not innocent of all this. Like, I think the victim is her husband and her child. While she obviously, I'm not happy that she lit herself on fire, allegedly, but it's not like she's innocent here either. Like, let's be honest.
I'd like to ask you to help me help the family that Regina left behind. In the past few days, I've had the privilege of speaking with Regina's husband, and with his permission...
Yeah, but he held the position of power. No, don't get me wrong. I think he's a monster. I think he's an absolute monster. But she also does have free will. She does technically still have free will. And again, I don't know if he got her killed or if we're going to find out some sort of foul play over here. But I think, in my opinion, they're both monsters. He's a million times worse. And she's
set
dead.
up a GoFundMe to help with the family and specifically to set something aside for the son. He seems like a great kid with a promising future, and we'd like to help them with that as much as possible. And Tony's made it clear he's not only not going to help the family, but instead he's going to go on the offensive and attack them.
Crazy.
So anything our community can do would be greatly
dude,
appreciated.
this poor family, dude.
I'm sure. So there's no sponsor on this video. There's no asks, nothing other than please help us to help a young boy face a future without his mother.
Poor kid.
And lastly,
poor husband.
To Ernest Anthony Tony Gonzales. Hasn't this gone far enough for you? When this all started, my only qualms with you were your voting record. 2 years ago, when I lost that election, we sat down like men. You shook my hand, you looked me in the eyes, and you promised me things would be different. I was genuinely horrified to find out what kind of man I shook hands with that day.
Damn, bro.
And unlike the smears you've done on me, you'll find that nothing I've said in this video was taken out of context. These are simply your words and your actions. This is your last chance to be a man and take some accountability. Step down. For the sake of the country, for the sake of Texas, for the sake of common decency. Step down.
Dude, he's right. He's totally right. Yeah, anyway, no, I definitely, I endorse Brandon Herrera 100%. Not that the endorsement of a random blue retard on the internet matters, but I definitely endorse this guy. Make him win, all right? Make him win, you degenerates in my audience. Make him freaking win. And, no, I just wanted to wrap things up with the word of God, okay? If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress are to be put to death. This is the word of God.